Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra. I am the faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. Today I am going to taking the class of signal system. This is the lecture number 19 and this is the continuation of the Fourier transform. So in the previous lecture we have described how we can represent a specific aperiodic signal by replicating that specific signal in a form where as a periodic signal. Suppose there is a periodic signal which has a finite range. Now we can represent that specific signal as a form of Fourier transform as converting the specific signal as a periodic signal. Okay, so that is the way of representing a specific aperiodic signal which has a finite range and through which we have described what is Fourier transform of an aperiodic signal. Now in this lecture we are going to understand how we can convolute or how can we extract a Fourier transform of a periodic signal, and you also discuss few advantages, few properties of Fourier transform. Okay, so as we can proceed to understand this specific lecture of this specific subject, let's begin. The subject code is AC303 and this is the lecture number 19. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, now as we can understand here that although the argument we used in deriving the Fourier transform pair assumed that x of t was of arbitrary but finite duration, remain valid for an extremely broad class of signals of infinite duration. In fact, our derivation of the Fourier transform suggests that a set of conditions like those required for the convergence of Fourier series should also apply here, and indeed that can be shown to be the case. Specifically consider x of j omega evaluated according to this equation 4.9 here, this equation. Okay, now if we just put all those values here, and now as we know the value of x of t denoted the signal obtained by using x of j omega in the right hand side of equation, and we can understand here the x of t is 1 by 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity x of j omega e to the power j omega t d omega. Okay, now if we want to have a finite energy of the specific signal, what we have to do, we have to have this condition should be satisfied here. Now the x of t square dt should be less than equal to infinity. It means that this square should be integrable, right? Then we are guaranteed that x of j omega is finite. It means it converges, and with EET, which is which denoting the error between the x of t and xt should be this, right? Okay, so from all, and this value should be is 0. Now what we can conclude from both of these understandings is that for aperiodic counterparts for periodic signals, thus in a manner similar to that of periodic signals, if x of t has finite energy, then although x of t and its Fourier representation x as t may differ significantly at individual values of t, there is no energy in their difference. Okay, so it means they are in manner of similar to the periodic signal. If x of t has finite energy, then although x of t and its Fourier representation x of t may differ significantly at individual values of t, there is no energy in their difference. It means the energy difference for x of t and x dash t, x of t is nothing but the representation of a aperiodic signal, one specific finite duration signal. Okay, now when we replicating the specific waveform for a specific we put that specific waveform at specific time interval, we get a periodic signal. Now the energy of that specific signal and the energy of that aperiodic signal will be same. Their representations of Fourier representation of x of t and x dash t may differ, but their energy is same. Okay, so as the periodic signals, there is an alternative set of conditions which are sufficient to ensure that x of t is equal to x of t, x dash t is equal to x of t for any t except at discontinuity. In case of discontinuity, there the signal is not represented there, so there is no point in take that in calculation. Okay, where it is equal to the average of the values on either side of the discontinuity. These conditions again referred to as the Dirichlet conditions require that x of t is absolutely integrable, that is this this condition should be satisfied for x of t. X of t have a finite number of maxima and minima within any finite interval, and x of t have a finite number of discontinuities within any finite interval. Furthermore, each of these discontinuities must be finite. Okay, so these are the three conditions that should be satisfied. And if a signal, suppose there is an aperiodic signal, is not maintaining these three specific points, this signal can't be convertible. It means we can't have the Fourier transform of this specific signal. So these three dielectric conditions should be satisfied to perform the Fourier transform to that specific aperiodic signal. Okay. Now therefore absolutely integrable signals that are continuous or that have a finite number of discontinuities have Fourier transforms. Okay. Now although the two alternative sets of conditions that we have given are sufficient to guarantee that a signal has a Fourier transform, we will see in next section that periodic signals which are neither absolutely integrable or not square integrable over an infinite interval can be considered to have Fourier transforms if impulse functions are permitted in the transform. This has the advantage that the Fourier series and Fourier transform can be incorporated into a common framework, which we will find to be very convenient in subsequent chapters. Okay, so we will discuss this specific part later. So now today we will understand what is the convergence of a signal. We have understood what is the convergence of a specific signal and why the convergence of Fourier transform is required. In case of we will now first we will go through few examples with which we can understand how a periodic signal can be converted in practical format. How could we convert a specific aperiodic signal? How could we convert the time domain of a specific aperiodic signal to a frequency domain? How could you calculate the specific properties of the specific signals? Next, we will understand how a specific periodic signal can be transformable in specific frequency domain. Okay, so let's begin with few examples. Now suppose first example, the consider we have taken the signal x of t is equal to e to the minus at ut. Now this signal can be rewritten here as we now what we'll do, we will first use the analysis equation to convert this time domain signal to a frequency domain. Okay, so we will use these specific signals. Okay, the analysis equation and the synthesis equation. These are the equations that you already know. This is for to convert a time domain signal to a frequency domain and this is used to convert a frequency domain signal to a time domain signal. Okay, so let's begin with the examples. Okay, so we just one second. Okay, so as we can understand here that this is the specific signal. So this is a steps function or step signal. So we use 0 to infinity e to the power minus this is the our function e to the minus j omega t dt, and after using the integrable we get the value x of j omega is equal to 1 by a plus j omega, where the value of a should be greater than 0. Okay, now as you can know, this is the frequency domain of this specific signal. So Fourier transform is a complex value. To plot it as a function of omega, we express x of j omega in terms of magnitude and phase. So we already know this is the magnitude of the specific signal and this is the phase, and each of these component is sketched here. We have that. Now if a is complex rather than real, then x of t is absolutely integrable as long as real is greater than equal to 0, and in this case the preceding calculation yields the same form of x of j omega. Okay, so you just if you just put those values, this is the magnitude of this specific signal. This is the magnitude, this is the maxima and the minima. Okay, and this is the phase response of the specific signal. As we if we just plot those values. Okay, now if we go through the another example, we have this xt e to the minus a mod t, where the condition is a greater than equal to greater than 0. Okay, so we just put that value here. What we have here, we just use the fundamental frequency formula for to convert this time domain signal to in frequency domain. So we just minus infinity to 0, we get e to the power at, e to the power minus j omega t, and here 0 to infinity, e to the power minus at. The value of t will be minus here, so it will be plus, and as we put this value will be 1 for 0 to infinity, so you get the e to the minus at. By integrating both the values, we get 1 minus a minus j 1 by a minus j omega plus 1 by a plus j omega. Simple integration, and you get these physical values. Now the s of j omega is real. Now in this case, x of j omega is real, and it is illustrated in, because we have already given the condition that a is greater than 0, so value of a will be real. The whole value of x of j omega will be real because the a is greater than 0 and this value is also greater than 0. So x of j omega have to be real. It will be should be in the left hand side of the number system. So we just plot those values. So this is the magnitude response of the specific signal. Okay, and this is the signal. So this is the magnitude response of the specific signal. Okay, now what is the difference between these two important factor here is this. Okay, here. Okay, is the value. Okay, and the next example could be here is this x of t del t. So substituting this value, what we get here, the value is 1. So what is that? Unit impulse of the Fourier transform consists of equal contribution at all frequencies. So that's the basic. Now, as we have already discussed impulse functions, we have already know what is impulse function is. Now when we are analyzing an impulse function in frequency domain, what we get, that in case of impulse function, the frequency when we are analyzing a specific impulse function in frequency domain, we get the value as unity. It means it provides us the information that the unit impulse as a Fourier transform consisting of a equal contribution at all frequencies. Okay, yes. So let's move on to the next example. Okay, so we have already understood that del t, when we are getting a Fourier transform of del t, we get the x of j omega is equal to 1. So the Fourier transform consists of equal contribution at all frequencies. Okay, so now if we just consider this rectangular pulse signal, what we have here, the specific values, and the Fourier transform of that specific signal is 2 sine omega t1 by omega. Okay, so this is the time domain analysis of this rectangular pulse, and this is the frequency domain. Okay, graphical representation of frequency domain of this specific rectangular pulse signal. Now as we discussed at the beginning of this section, the signal given by equation 4.16, or this signal can be thought of as the limiting form of a periodic square wave as the period becomes arbitrarily large. Therefore, we might expect that the convergence of the synthesis equation for this signal would behave in a manner similar to that observed in example 3.5 for the square wave. This is in fact the case. Specifically, consider the inverse Fourier transform for the rectangular pulse signal. This value xt is square integrable, right? Now this value should be 0, as we have already understood for Dirichlet's condition. To convert a specific aperiodic signal in there, to have a Fourier transform of a specific aperiodic signal, we have to have maintain the Dirichlet condition, right? For furthermore, because x of t satisfies the Dirichlet condition, x of t is equal to xt, x dash t is equal to xt, except at the points at discontinuity, where x of t converges to half, which is the average of the values of xt on both sides of the discontinuity. In addition, the convergence of x dash t to xt exhibits the Gibbs phenomena. We are going to discuss what the Gibbs phenomena is, much as of illustrated for the periodic square wave in figure 3.9. Specifically, in analogy with the finite Fourier series approximation, consider the following integral over a finite length interval of frequencies. This value, as w is less than tends to infinity, the signal converges to xt everywhere. This signal converges to xt everywhere except at the discontinuities. Moreover, the signal exhibits ripple near the discontinuities. The signal exhibits ripples near the discontinuities. The peak amplitude of this ripple does not decrease as omega w increases, although the ripples do become compressed towards the discontinuity, and the energy in the ripples converges to 0. Okay, we are going to understand Gibbs phenomena also. Now let's go to the next example. Now this considers the signal xt whose Fourier transform is w. Okay, the signal xt whose Fourier transform is this. The transform is illustrated in figure 4.9 using this synthesis equation. We can this is the x of j omega of the specific signal, right, and this is the xt of this signal. Okay, now we have already understood that this is the synthesis equation. We can write here that determine x of t is equal to this. Now comparing these equations with equation, we see an interesting relationship. In each case, the Fourier transform pair consists of a function of the form sin a theta by b theta and a rectangular pulse. However, example, let's don't get to that example. Let's say that the signal x of t, that is a pulse, while it is a transform x of j omega. The special relationship that is apparent here is direct consequence of the duality property for Fourier transform, which we discuss in this section. Functions of the form given here arise frequently in Fourier analysis and the study of LTI system are referred to as sin c functions, a commonly used precise form for the sin c functions. Okay, this is the sin c function. Okay, this is the sin c function x of t. Now we get the specific form of frequency domain analysis of these specific signals. This is the xt and we get the frequency domain analysis. Okay, so what we are getting here is that when we are converting a specific rectangular pulse function into the Fourier, we are transforming a specific sin c function from time domain to frequency domain, we get a specific rectangular pulse. Okay, and the same will be understandable when we are using a specific signal which is a rectangular gate pulse, which is in a time domain. When we are getting the frequency domain, we are making a frequency domain of that specific signal, we get a sin c function. So when we are converting a function which is in a time domain, suppose that is a rectangular function, when we are transforming the signal to frequency domain, when you are transforming a function or rectangular function from time domain to frequency domain, we extract a function which is sin c function. Now when we are transforming a sin c function which is in a time domain to frequency domain, it is converting from sin c function to rectangular function. Okay, so this is what is known as the form of duality. What is that means is that when we are converting a time domain function to in their frequency domain, now when we are reversing that process, we will get the same result. Okay, that this example is showing that simple analysis. Okay, so let's increase. Now we will going to discuss what is the Fourier transform of a periodic signal. Okay, so let's begin with it. Now in the we introduced the Fourier transform representation and gave several examples. While our attention in that section was focused on aperiodic signals, we can also develop Fourier transform representations for periodic signals, thus allowing us to consider both periodic and aperiodic signals within a unified context. In fact, as we will see, we can construct the Fourier transform of a periodic signal directly from its Fourier series representations. The resulting transform consists of a train of impulses in the frequency domain, with the areas of the impulses proportional to the Fourier series coefficients. This will turn out to be a very useful representation. To suggest the general result, let us consider a signal x of t with Fourier transform x of j omega. That is a single impulse of area 2 pi at omega is equal to omega 0. That is, x of j omega is equal to 2 pi del omega minus omega 0. To determine the signal x of t, for which this is the Fourier transform, we can apply the inverse transform relation of equation this to obtain x of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity 2 pi del omega minus omega 0 e to the power j omega t d omega. We will get equal to e to the power j omega 0 t. More generally, if x of j omega is of the form of a linear combination of impulse equally spaced in frequency, that is, x of j omega is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity 2 pi a suffix k del omega minus k omega 0. Then the application of equation 4.8 yields x of t is equal to k is equal to minus infinity to plus infinity a suffix k e to the power j k omega 0 t. We see that equation corresponds to exactly to the Fourier series representation of a periodic signal as specified in this. Thus, the Fourier transform of a periodic signal with Fourier series coefficients can be interpreted as a train of impulse occurring at the harmonically related frequencies, and for which the area of the impulse at the kth harmonic frequency k omega 0 is 2 pi times the kth Fourier series coefficient is a suffix k. Now consider the square wave illustrated in figure 4.1. The Fourier series coefficients for this signal are a suffix k sin k omega 0 t by t pi k, and the Fourier transform of the signal is x of j omega in this, which case in here this is the Fourier transform of symmetric periodic square wave. Fourier transform of a symmetric periodic square wave. Okay. Now, if you just take this specific example here also, x of t is equal to sin omega 0 t. The Fourier series coefficient for this signal are a suffix 1 1 by 2. We already know this is the first correspond k is at k is equal to 1. The constant coefficient is this, k is equal to minus 1. This is the constant coefficient, and these are the constant coefficients. Thus, the Fourier transform is as shown in figure 4.13a. Similarly, for x of t is equal to cos omega 0 t. The Fourier series coefficients are a suffix 1 is equal to a suffix minus 1, which is equal to half, and a suffix k is equal to 0. Now, the Fourier transform of the signal depicted, these two transforms can be rewrite as this. This is the x of j omega, pi by j, and omega pi by minus j. Fourier transform of x of t sin omega 0, and this is the x of t cos omega 0 t. This is the frequency domain analysis of that specific. This is the sine. This is the frequency domain analysis of sine function, and this is the frequency domain analysis of a cos function. So, which can be using this. Now, from these two examples, what we are really understood here, that we can easily represent a specific signal which is a periodic signal, suppose a periodic signal in time domain. Now, when you are converting the specific signal from time domain to frequency domain, what we really extract here is the specific frequency analysis, where we now from this whole example, what we are really understood here, that when we are transforming a periodic signal from time domain to frequency domain, we extract few values here, that this, when you are converting this to this is the frequency domain analysis of sin c. Now, this will only be repeat. This will be this way. This is nothing but the representation of a specific waveform which is ranges over a finite value. Okay. So, this will only be repeated after each time period, after each specific time period. It will just be repeated after each every time period, right? So, by converting a time sequence to frequency sequence, this frequency sequence is basically representations of each and every waveform which is reappearing after a specific time period. After each specific time period, this specific waveform is reappearing. So, each and every waveform that is identical to each other this is the frequency analysis of that specific waveform, and it is reappearing after each and every time period. Okay. Okay. Now, let's take another example. A signal what we find extremely useful in our analysis of sampling system is impulse train. Now, this x of t is equal to minus infinity plus infinity del t minus kt, which is periodic with period t as indicated in figure 4.14. The Fourier series coefficients for this signal were computed in and are given by a suffix k is equal to 1 by t minus t by 2 plus t by 2 del t to the minus j k omega 0 t dt 1 by t. There is every Fourier coefficients, the periodic impulse train has the same value 1 by t. Substituting this value for a suffix k in equation yields this value. Thus, the Fourier transform of a periodic impulse train in the time domain with period t is a periodic impulse train in the frequency domain with period 2 pi by t, as sketched in figure 4. Here again we see an illustration of the inverse relationship between the time and the frequency domains. As the specific spacing between the impulses in the time domain gets longer, the spacing between the impulses in the frequency domain gets smaller. Time domain is longer, spacing between the impulses in the frequency domain, the fundamental frequency is getting smaller. So, this is where we are concluding our lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss about the properties of the Fourier transform. Okay, thank you.